Michael, I'm really glad you're on, man. You're a real true soul brother in terms of being a rebel and trying to get people healthy. So I have a real connection to you, and I'm just tickled you're here. So
thanks,
Brandon,
man.
you can go
Excited
ahead.
Excited to be here.
Yep, thanks, man.
Yep. Yeah, I was kind of thinking about this is kind of our Rebels with the Cause program instead of without a cause. You guys are both come against some of the structures that are set up in the world that don't help people. So we're wanting to help people here. So that's good. Again, thanks for coming on, Michael. I think last time we talked in person, you were wearing a kilt at the time, so that gives you guys any idea of Michael's personality and stuff. But good to talk with you again. And
don't you wear a kilt, Brandon?
I do, but not everybody.
Not everybody.
No, I got one.
Yeah, that was in Austin at PaleoFX 2015.
Yeah, it was.
There's a bunch of FDNs there.
Yep. Yeah, we had a good group there. A lot of folks come down for that. It's a fun town and a good event that they put on. Really good. All right. Well, like Reed's talked about, Michael, you're an FDN and Chek Holistic Lifestyle Coach and co-founder of Rebel Health Tribe, which you'll talk more about later, I'm sure. And good to have you on. I'd like just to highlight FDNs that have really made it, really figured out how to make this thing work, and get different people's opinions about and ways they've actually come about doing that. But it's a little bit different personalities, different techniques. So you got the whole audience of FDN listening, so we're all ears for sure. But I was going to ask, how'd you find FDN in the first place? How'd you come in contact with us?
Well, that was on Sean Croxton's podcast probably around 2009 or so. I don't even know how I found his podcast, but one of the first ones I downloaded was Reed was the guest, and I was working out at the gym. I started as a trainer, so I was already a personal trainer, and then I had to stop my workout because I was writing too many notes to keep up with what I was trying to do. And I realized that that was something I'd want to do, and that it was really cool stuff they were talking about. And I had already been through, I just finished my master's program. I have a master's in exercise science and health promotion, but what they were talking about was very different than what I had learned. And it made a lot of sense as to why a lot of the people I was working with were seeing, symptoms continue or weren't getting the results I thought they would get if I just, beat them to death in an exercise regimen and basically starved them like I learned in grad school. So it was 2009 was probably when I first heard Reed on the podcast, and then I think it was around 2012 or 13 is when I decided to really make an effort to get into the program and get the ball rolling with it and take that dive when I was ready for it. And I think it's been 3 years now. I think I finished around 3 years ago. So I owe credit to Sean.
That's awesome. I have to say the same thing, too. That's where I heard about Reed first, probably a little bit before that, maybe around that time myself. So, and you're right, all ears, it's like, this is a little different way to think. I think even some people, things you have to unlearn. Some things is just all fresh and new, and you get to have it from a fresh perspective, but some things we just have to kind of unlearn and make adjustments and, be big enough people to do that. So it sounds like you made those shifts.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff to unlearn.
Yeah, right. So talk a little bit, if you can, talking about history here, talk a little bit about maybe some of your own health challenges, what you've come up against and overcome yourself. Most people that I think get into this work have some story or some history. Maybe share some of that with our audience.
Sure. Most of mine were self-induced. I don't have a cool rare disease. I haven't had any random afflictions that a lot of people come across, and they find out that they had to go to 12 doctors for somebody to figure out what was wrong with them. Mine were all lifestyle induced, and I didn't have a very healthy one until I was around 28, 29 years old is when I decided I didn't want to live the life I was living, and I had gained a ton of weight. I had liver issues. I was rejected for a life insurance policy when I was 24 due to some elevated markers on a blood test that I didn't understand. I didn't really further investigate, really didn't want to know about, so I just kind of left that alone. I was in the service industry for a while, and everybody knows that's not really the most healthy place to be. So I had liver issues. I was overweight. I had skin problems. I had social anxiety, depression, a lot of mental, emotional stuff, and I don't know whether if I want to categorize it as insomnia or trouble sleeping, but I probably didn't go to sleep before midnight for a solid decade. And so it was trying to recover after doing pretty much everything I could for over 10 years, albeit unhealthy lifestyle, unhealthy diet, drinking, late nights, pretty much everything that I would advise people against at this point. It was trying to reverse all of that damage that I had done and basically learn a new way to live, a new way to eat, and that was my own path or journey. So I don't, it's I think it helps Joe and I, my business partner, like relate to people a lot, that we kind of went through a lot of things that a lot of people are coming from, like the place they're coming from. But on another hand, there's a lot of people in this industry who do have, a rare condition or some sort of, disease that was put upon them. So my stuff was all self-induced. I don't look for sympathy from anyone, but it's been an interesting ride, and now I really enjoy helping people make similar changes. And my life is so much different now than it was then, and for the better. And I like to, try to give that same, gift to people that other people helped me with,
Sure. So what things, when you were making these changes, what were some of the hardest, most difficult things to change for you? Lifestyle is not easy to change, I know. What are some of the areas that were the biggest struggles?
I think it was probably the salsa dancing.
Yeah. It was on a not exactly salsa dancing, but it was the social aspect of it. I went to school originally to be a teacher, and I got out of teaching after a couple of years. But then I spent 8 years in the service industry, bartending, serving, fine dining, for everything. I worked in everywhere from biker bar to fine dining restaurants, and the social aspect and late nights and things that go along with that industry, and that all of my friends were in. Was tough to, stop all of that and lose that social end of life. And I see that a lot. A lot of our members in our audience and clients mention, well, what do you even do? Or I lost friends, or I'm going to lose friends, or whatever. So I think that, like, the letting go of that life that I had held so tightly onto, of having this social life, being popular, having all these, like, I don't know, late night adventures, I guess I will call them for a non-R-rated show. Letting go of all that and changing, going to bed early. I mean, I remember when I first decided I was going to start going to bed early, I honestly hadn't been asleep before midnight in 10 years. And I laid down at 10 o'clock, turned all the lights off, and I would just lay there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. For weeks, months. I don't even know how long it took me, where now I know all these, like, tricks and ways to rebalance someone's circadian rhythm or sleep, eat more easily with, suggestions like turning lights off at night, or different supplements, or, meditation, all these things. I didn't know any of that stuff, so I kind of went around about everything the hard way. So everything was pretty challenging, but it was definitely the mental, emotional end of things. I knew what to do and what to eat or not eat, and what to, things like that, before I was able to implement them in any effective way. So it was the mental end of things that was the most challenging for me.
Did your health improvements, did they come kind of slowly, gradually, or were there like jumps and peaks and stuff that you had there, or was this really like, as you kind of talk about with the sleep here, was it just day after day after day and just kind of sticking with it? What did that look like?
I was slow. I didn't have any, oh my God, 10 days later this happened moments, because I didn't do everything all at once. I think when people, make that, very few people I've seen it in where they learn all this stuff and then they snap their fingers and their diet changes, their life changes, they do all these things. And sometimes we seem to expect that out of clients and forget that that's really difficult to do. And I didn't do it like that. And so I didn't have the radical, 30 days, I lost 20 pounds and my skin cleared up and I felt great. I gradually lost weight. I spent a lot of time in the gym, so I noticed I was getting stronger, the more healthier habits I had. My skin did clear up slowly. I gradually started to feel less depressed and less socially anxious. And so, no, it wasn't rapid. It was very slow. And I didn't, it took me a while to be able to implement everything. I would, got to a point where I was doing like half of the stuff I wanted to be doing and then would beat myself up over the other half. And so it was a longer process than, I'd like to see with people now. If I work with clients or when FDNs work with clients, we want them to, make XYZ changes like tomorrow and do all of it at once. And I think that does happen or work for some people. I think that what I had to learn once I started working with people was to remember what that's like to be there, and that it's, meet people where they're at and give them recommendations or baby steps or small achievable goals or, things that they can work towards doing, but work with them to first do the things they can actually implement and will be compliant with. So I was my own lesson in that type of slow process of change, I guess it would say. And, I'm still a work in progress. There's not, I still have metabolic issues that resulted from my diet and lifestyle and all of those things, and still have some liver stuff I'm dealing with. And so it's, it's going to be a long process to heal. And, people want to be fixed overnight. And it's like it took decades to get where you are. It's going to take some time to fix it. So no, I didn't have like a super fast transformation or anything. It was definitely a slow process of improvement.
Mm-hmm. That's several good points you made there just on client expectation and managing the case and talking with somebody. I'm sure those are things, I know you don't do as much one-on-one work anymore. You're doing more with your broader reach with education, but when you get into that, talking about things in the beginning, people are going to be impatient sometimes, but you're right, like you said, you didn't get into this situation overnight, and so it's going to take some time to reverse, and it's nothing that they're doing incorrectly or you as a practitioner are doing incorrectly. It's just what it's taking for that person, for their body to change, and it looks different for different people, and that's okay, but as long as you're making some progress, I feel, then we're doing right by them, and it's a fun time.
Yep. Just gotta. Everybody's going to be different that you work with. It's not. There's no cookie cutter. You tell them to do this and they're going to all do it. Some people might do 9 out of 10 things you recommend in the first week. Others will struggle to do 1. And if you react in a way that's discouraging to the person that's only doing 1 or 2 things, they may never do more things or they may walk away. And so it's each person's different and gotta deal with them as such.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Let's switch. Yeah. So switch gears here a second and talk about a little bit, if you can, about your experience with the course. What did you take away from the FDN course?
A lot. I learned. I hadn't used any lab testing before. I had already been through. I was a trainer, and then I'd gone through the Chek course, holistic lifestyle coach and exercise coach, and had done some work, that type of stuff. So some of the dress program, principles was stuff that I was already familiar with or implementing in some way. I wasn't nearly as knowledgeable about supplements. I knew next to nothing. Now that I know now what I didn't know then, I knew next to nothing walking into FDN. And I also didn't didn't know the specifics of the physiology of anything that you learn in FDN. I knew that just from listening to podcasts like Sean's and with Reed on it, and some stuff that we learned in the Chek course, that, you know, there are gut-brain connections, or there are, you know, hormones related to sleep, or there are, you know, like, I knew very basic principles, but I didn't know any of the specifics and the real physiological, you know, mechanisms behind a lot of this stuff, or how, you know, each thing might be related to it, like how a parasitic infection could, you know, drive down sex hormones over time, or any of those type of things. I didn't understand. And then obviously I didn't have any use or ability to use lab testing or interpret lab tests or any of that stuff. So I'd say that the specifics of the physiological mechanisms behind a lot of the stuff, because some people you work with, they're not going to care. They're not going to care why what happens, or why you're telling them, you know, to do X, Y, Z thing. But other people are, and their compliance is going to depend on you being able to explain yourself and defend your, I don't want to use the word defend, but, you know, explain your positions and your recommendations. And so it gave me a lot of that ammunition of being able to say, well, here's why I'm explaining this, or why I'm recommending this, and explain to them on a deeper level than I was able to previously, like why I'd recommend not have bright lights on at nighttime, or how, you know, a gut infection can impact their focus or concentration, and why we're recommending this supplement or this diet or this, you know, these things. So I'd say it was a lot deeper level than I had understood things on a previously, and the lab testing capabilities opened up the door for, you know, being able to work with a whole new type of clientele that was maybe more complex or more educated, I guess I would say. I don't know about all FDNs, but once I'd gone through the program and kind of changed my approach and my marketing a little, and who I was trying to work with, a lot of my clients were, you know, really smart and really educated on a lot of this stuff. So it came in handy to still be able to, you know, be the expert in the conversation, where a lot of those clients I got once I'd been through FDN, before I went through FDN, they probably knew more than I did. So I'd say the deep physiological stuff and the lab testing, and then knowing, you know, what's what in the supplement world was pretty helpful as well.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad I made all that stuff up.
Yeah, and connecting with people. I mean, my business that I currently have wouldn't exist if I didn't go through FDN, because I met Joe, my business partner, in the FDN forum on Facebook. And we've collaborated with tons of other FDN practitioners who come on, you know, interviews, webinars, podcasts, and stuff with us. So that's not part of the course per se, but that's a big benefit that I found.
You know, that's one of those things that's an intangible when we're telling people about the course. There's all the things you mentioned, the labs, the physiology, the lifestyle factors, you know, all the stuff you mentioned. But it's kind of hard to mention, you know, to put a value on the community and the people you're going to meet. I mean, you launched the whole business, and that's fantastic. And I know Joe. We should get Joe on sometime too, perhaps. But that's fantastic that you guys met. So glad you met.
Yeah, me too. It changed the course of everything I was doing, and I actually today's Friday, I just got back late Wednesday night from New York. I live in San Diego, and I just got back late Wednesday night from New York. I flew out there for 3 days to sit down and work with Joe in person. It was the first time that we'd met in person, and we've been running a business together for almost 2 years. So
that's
it's
fantastic.
Funny. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's perfect. What a world, you know.
It's crazy. Just try to imagine it, you know. I remember when we got our first computer in the house, and to think that, you know, when I quote grow up, if that's an accurate description of whatever it is we're doing, when I grow up, the computer would be the thing I would work on, or like I could work from the computer and have a business partner that lives 3,000 miles away, and, you know, work from anywhere in the world. That's a concept that, you know, even 20 years ago would have been completely ludicrous to everyone. So yeah, man, it's wild.
Right on.
Yep. And people still don't quite grasp it sometimes too. That's a benefit of working with learning FDN and doing it this way. You can do that, not only have a business, but work with people long distance. And I find even people that are local clients of mine, they almost prefer hop on a phone call or a Skype conversation. So it's much more accepted now than ever. That's a good thing. So
for sure.
Well,
I mean, just the FDN staff. I mean, where do all you? I mean, Reed's here in San Diego, but I mean, you guys are all over the place. So
we are about every time zone and several different countries. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the only downfall or the negative of the internet working world is that my business partner's 3 hours ahead of me. Our assistant's 3 hours ahead of me. Our web guy's 2 hours ahead of me, and we've got people we work with that are all over the place. So I am completely dysfunctional at time conversions, and I screw that up a lot. But if that's the worst of the problems, I'll take it.
Well, good thing you didn't have to convert for today's call because you made it on.
Yep, I did it.
Good job.
Yeah,
good
beautiful.
Job.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. So Michael, I know that you don't work with clients one-on-one as much anymore. So this, we'll kind of talk about the past a little bit here. But as far as when you're working there, what was a particular segment of the population? Was there a certain demographic or age group or whatever that you tended to see more than another?
Yeah, and I don't really have a few theories as to why, but even now with our website, and we have a membership situation, and we've done some surveys to find out what our audience looks like. And most of my clients too were middle-aged women. I'd say between 30, a couple younger than that, but mostly 30 and 55-ish. I did have male clients when I was training. Most of my personal training clients, I'd say half of those were men. But once I did FDN type work, mostly women, middle-aged, hormonal issues, tired, and digestive problems. And that's pretty much been what we've built our business on too, and our educational products and things is around digestion and gut health, which was the topic of the first podcast that I heard Reed on with Sean, was gut bugs and stuff, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I'd say that's the main demographic, and I have a couple theories as to that. I think one, just women are more proactive with their health. I think men tend to just be sick and stay sick and tough it out and all these things, and they don't really get as proactive or as interested in learning as women do. And two, women are the caretaker a lot of times for their family, so they're the ones, if the husband has an issue or they have a kid with an issue or something, they're the ones out scouring for information, looking for people to help them. And so I think that's why. But that was probably my main, and a few fertility issues too. I guess I would say fertility issues, digestive problems, and fatigue, and mostly women.
And let me add that that niche is really just a demographic that exists. It's not one that we are particularly good or not good at. I would say that if you really get the FDN philosophy that general principles outperforms specific treatments, then you understand that there's hardly a problem that you can't help with, because you don't treat anything specifically anyway. You treat everything non-specifically. Now, doesn't mean we don't do a little targeting here and there, but the same principles that would fix a gut would help their thyroid, and would help their immune system, and would help their digestive, and detoxification, and their hormones and the thing. So the principles we apply, because we're not writing a prescription to interfere with the way their body works. We're, if you want to use the word prescribing a behavior pattern that is all-inclusive: diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplement. It's a behavior pattern. That's our only prescription. And we go, yep, let's see if it helps with that digestion, or let's see if it helps with that fertility. And I have this conversation a lot with FDNs on the post-grad interviews, like, because in marketing you need a niche. If you put out advertisement that says, all health problems, come and see me, you just sound like a dope or a kind of a generalist, or, what kind of voodoo are you going to pull, But so for marketing is why you niche, not for treating or for helping. You can help anybody with any problem. And I know Michael gets that. I just want to make sure our listeners are tuning into that. And also, if you have a question for Michael, please try to put him on the spot any way you can. Just press 1 on your dial, and we'll tune you in.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. I'm open to whatever people want to talk about. If they've listened to our podcast, we kind of put people on the spot, so I guess it's only fair.
Yeah. I love your stuff, man. Your podcast. I'm not shy,
No, your episode. I don't think it's gone live yet. We'll have to get it out to the FDN audience when it does. But we did some story time with Uncle Reed, is what we're going to call it, I think.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Nothing's off the table, and it's fun. We've had some really interesting. There's really interesting people in this field, and we've had the conversations go off in a crazy direction, and everybody's got stories, and I think it's fun for both professionals to hear that side of, someone they might know online, or, somebody whose book they might have read, or whatever, to really see the human side of people. And it's great for the, potential clients, customers, whatever audience members, the laypersons, whatever you want to call them, to see that, people sometimes, I think, incorrectly view those of us in the, health and wellness, I guess, call it, world or industry, that, we don't have any issues, and our lives are perfect, and we do everything, quote, right all the time, and it's that's just not true. And so it's good too. And this is great what you guys do with these calls too, because I remember when I first finished FDN, it was great to have the forum on Facebook and to be able to, hear what people were doing and how they were, working their business, or what they'd found to be successful or not. And the more we can help each other out, I think the better, because it doesn't have to be competitive. I mean, these people sometimes get all nasty and competitive in this industry, and I really don't think it has to be. We're all on the same team, and the more that, people hear about, things like FDN, particular for this group, in general, it helps all FDNs. And there's no market saturation. It's not like every single person out there who's not healthy has an FDN they're working with, and so you're stealing someone's clientele. I mean, sorry, there's a little motorcycle gang going by. We can all, learn from each other and be on the same team. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's not 10 clients out there we're all clamoring for. There's 2 million people that need our help. Exactly.
100 million. Who knows?
I always say, make the pie bigger. Don't worry about how big your slice is. Just make the pie bigger. And that's
for sure.
The abundance mentality I've always had. And at Mindshare this past weekend, I met 2 other people, excuse me, who have courses that you might consider competition if you don't understand this, that, well, hey, FDN doesn't teach everything, and neither do they. And they both came up to me and said, hey, Reed, we love your stuff. We should cooperate. We should do something. And I was impressed with the sense of community, among people.
I think I might have a feeling of who you saw there, but there's good people there. I shouldn't to that, but I had just been in Chicago, and I was just leaving to go to New York, and like the 4 days in between when I was going to be here was that event, and I just couldn't do it. But I know a lot of people who were there, and it's a great event, and I'll probably go next year. But yeah, there should be more collaboration, and everybody wins. Like you said, just make the pie bigger. There's no shortage of people out there who need what we're all doing. It's just a matter of reaching them.
Amen to that. So give us something. Do you have any of those wild questions, Brandon? This is good stuff. FDNs want to know. But ask him about his hairdo. Something.
or that there's an infamous picture of you guys too that got a lot of traffic on Facebook a few months back also. So there's a little bit of history there.
Like I was sitting on Reed's lap. That was interesting.
Yeah, right.
You know
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, what's funny about, we were at what was it, True Foods?
Yeah.
So, and it's a great place to meet for lunch. You know, they have all organic stuff. They have like kombucha for drink. They have buffalo meat and stuff like that. I think I had a buffalo patty, and then we were just sitting there at the end of lunch, and the waitress was talking to us, and I said, "Oh, hey, snap a picture." So I just went and crowded Michael on the bench that he was sitting on, and it just came out that way. But I'm not shy. I mean, I was sitting with my buddy and give him a hug.
There's worse pictures of me on the internet than that one, man.
Yeah, and I guess I was. Anyway.
Yeah.
That was very. I love the commentary. That damn picture got more likes.
It did get quite a bit of attention
than anything else I put on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked. But I'm glad there weren't such easy usage camera phones around in my teens and 20s. That's
yeah.
So
none
of that stuff was documented. So I'm okay with everything that's on the internet at the moment.
I got you.
Oh.
I've hugged the bowl plenty of times.
So you got any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a hand raise. I've got a hand raise. Got a hand raise here. So area code 646. What's your name? What's your question for Michael?
Hi, it's Rita Keck calling from New York City.
Hey, Rita.
Hey, Rita.
Hi, guys. Nice to hear you talking. I thought I got to tune in, listen to Michael, listen to Reed, just, put my head into the game. Anyway, I want to say, Michael, great stuff. I really enjoyed listening to the microbiome stuff with Krishnan.
Oh, great.
Glad you really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the cannabis one, too. That's a special interest, of course, even though, if I may be so honest, in New York State, the cannabis situation is very backward. A lot of doctors don't know what to do with it. They don't want to even discuss it. They're giving us a hard time. For instance, I had someone who I went to visit Sloan Kettering. She went through first round of chemo that pretty much killed her. So I said to the nurse, couldn't she just go to the rooftop and at least smoke a joint so she'd feel better, have more appetite, have less pain? And the nurse said, no. We still have to regulate the dosage that we make sure that there's not too much. And I'm thinking, what? Are you busy killing people over chemo?
You just shot this woman up with poison.
Right?
Yeah.
That's my thing. So in New York State, also with this very renowned Lyme disease doctor, whom I work with, right? So on this very difficult case, I said, why not consider cannabis oil? Or CBD. We can do CBD in New York State. Even though medicinal is legal, no one in a way will prescribe it, and then there's no pharmacies to fill it. So you can get CBD, because I've used CBD on myself. And the doctor said they are not going to touch it. They just don't want any, medical board, weird stuff, anything that is suspect, anything that is not accepted in conventional medicine to be brought into the mix that's going to raise even more eyebrows that they're
follow the money.
To the Lyme disease
Follow
treatment.
the money on that if you want to understand why that is. But we're going to be doing a lot of stuff,
I know
educational stuff with, right now, just CBD because CBD is legal 50 states, so we can educate people on how they can use it themselves and order it and find it and questions and, things like that. But, I live in California, so it's a lot different here, and in other states it's even, more advanced than here. But it's unfortunate, and we run into this in many more ways than one as FDNs with, just follow the money. It's the pharmaceutical companies, and you look at Colorado, the statistics just came out that there, I believe it was 48% reduction in opiate-related deaths and incidents and overdoses in Colorado in 1 year of having legal cannabis for use for pain killing instead of, Vicodin or Oxycontin, which they just approved for 11-year-olds. Yeah, but we're gonna. It's kind of the Wild West in that regard right now with medical cannabis. So we're doing our best to find the right people to bring on to talk about it, to where, we want to help get it more into the scope and of doctors. And it's going to be an uphill situation. But New York. I mean, you deal with a lot of stuff in New York, from that to the lab test ordering issues, and it's you got to be much more creative than I am to make it, to get things done in New York. So kudos to you. And I enjoy reading your stuff and watching, what you're putting out too. So
yeah, Rick.
Yeah, I also want to say to read on the team, thank you for the third course where you have all these separate courses, be it Dutch test or organic acid testing, that we're able to, wherever our practice seems to be more geared towards, that we can do our continuing education very specialized or localized, so to speak. If we have a specific need right away, that we can dive in once we've done the initial FDN. So I think that's a really cool addition. And I know there's forever new testing coming up, and it's hard to stay abreast with everything that's going on and staying abreast with all the videos and all the webinars and all the learning while you're trying to actually run a business on the side. So I do want to say that it's great that FDN is providing these learning tool options for advanced learning in these separate testing modules rather than a whole thing that you got to do the whole thing. But no, it's great.
I'll just say this about it. FDN used to be an idea that I had that I thought I could do some good with, but it's an idea that now has me. It's like it owns me. It demands from me. It's just, the idea is a thing of its own now. So I just work for it and do my best to meet the needs, So thank you for that. Let me say this about the cannabis thing. There's the part that gets you high, and then there's the part that's just kind of
THC,
the CBD oil, which doesn't get you high, which is in 50 states, and I've been using it. I buy mine from Quicksilver, but I also tried some of that was available at Paleo. I forget what it was called. It was cinnamon flavored. It was pretty cool. But you don't get any mind-altering effects from it or anything, so I don't see any problem at all with it. On the other side, I understand that marijuana is a painkiller and it's an appetite improver. And, they're known for fact. It's been known for 20 years that AIDS patients did much better when they smoked weed because they would eat and not die of starvation and stuff. So they were more comfortable and lived out, and just it's a mediator of pain. So anyway, so all that's good. The problem with me is this: it's not convincing doctors that they should recommend it. That will come in time because the market will demand it. The market is what dictates to doctors. They are market followers. So, even 10 years ago, when I started in this in the late 90s, you never heard a doctor talk about probiotics ever. Just, there's nothing. That's all. That's alternative voodoo hogwash shit. And they wouldn't talk about. If you went to a gastroenterological conference, you wouldn't see probiotics even being discussed. Not 20 years ago. So, and it's I can explain why and all this stuff. But now you go to a gastroenterologist. These are regular medical doctors, and you see big big probiotic companies with giant booths, sponsoring speakers and all kinds of things. So why? Why is it? Because the market demands it. People are smarter than them. Them that sort of, and again, they're market followers. So doctors will be prescribing marijuana. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. That's not the problem. The problem is regulation. It's the government getting involved because they will give all the contracts to all the big marijuana producers, and they will put little marijuana producers out of business because that's how they work. It's when it's the regulation that is the. So everyone kind of we want it legal. So you can pass laws that make it legal for recreation and different things, but then the government's going to get in, kind of like Michael said, follow the money. But it's worse than that. It's the idea of this and they will the big companies will do what they do, which is buy up the influence in state assemblies, state Congress, state Senate, and what have you, and then on a national level eventually. And so it'll be regulation that is the problem, and small growers, and no different than what happens with the non-pasteurized dairy producers. I mean, they get put in jail, for making stuff. That's what's going to happen in the marijuana industry. So it isn't. Don't worry about doctors; they'll follow because they always follow. It's the government getting involved in regulating that is the tyranny of that we're going to face.
Yeah, they'll make sure that certain people make. I don't think it'll be legal until the drug companies that are making all the money on the drugs right now that it will replace. They'll figure out a way that they'll still make the money off of whatever they do with it, whether it's isolating.
It'll be GMO weed, man.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy and awful because I don't know. The research I've been doing has blown my mind on it. I didn't know. I've done a lot of research the last few months, and I was always a proponent of it just because I figured, hey, this person says it works or feels better or whatever. I didn't jump into any serious research on it until a few months ago, and when I did, I was like, damn, we have to do educational stuff on this, and people need to see this. The CBD itself, I mean, that's one of 83 different cannabinoids. We have a endocannabinoid receptor system in our body, receptors in the brain, and every tissue, every organ, every place in the body has receptors for these cannabinoids. We make some of them in the body. Some are unique to this plant. Some are found in other substances or plants. And they have huge physiological impacts and functions. And there's terpenes in the plant, the things that give it the smell. Any plant or vegetable or fruit or anything, if there's like a smell or a specific odor or taste to it, that's usually from terpenes. Those act. There's all kinds of different phytonutrients. And then, of course, there's, the THC and the other things. And once the law, I mean, it just got kept as a class 1 or whatever. The FDA refused to reschedule it, and it's in the same category as cocaine and heroin, which is insane. But once that's lifted and there's research able to be done, like real deep research into a lot of these components and a lot of these compounds and things, it's going to blow people away what's found and what's proven. I'm just curious as to how it'll go down until the drug companies will try to make drugs out of it, or I don't know how it's gonna happen. But what I've found just on CBD alone, and that's only 1 out of 80, and I focused mostly on that one because people have been bugging us to find a CBD product that we could recommend or make available on our site or whatever. And so I've only really been focusing on CBD. And just with that, I've found a staggering amount of research that already exists, but then the physiological explanations of how and why it works and what it does. I mean, it's amazing. And then my wife and I started using the product we found here in San Diego, and like shoulder pain I'd had for 2 years was gone in a week and a half. Her menstrual cramps were reduced by 80 to 90%. And she's usually pretty debilitated with that. Like for a couple of days, it's pretty rough. And so, I mean, I don't know. It is frustrating, but I think you work with doctors a hell of a lot more than I ever have, or a lot of FDNs do, and I think your tolerance or patience is much higher than mine also. But I'm I don't give a damn what doctors say or think or whatever. Like I'm trying to, if we worried about everything that doctors would or wouldn't do or said or didn't say or whatever, plus if they did and said all the things that we wanted them to, we would have a hard time finding people to work with. Because they wouldn't be desperately looking for someone to help them because their doctor would be helping them. So, I focus more on what it can do and what we can use and get a hold of. And, I mean, I don't know. I haven't collaborated with a doctor on a client in 4 years. So I don't.
Just and that's fine. You probably haven't had to. Just as a caveat, you always want to be on the lookout for something. They might need to go get checked out.
Oh, for sure.
Some starts growing out of their forehead. Tell them to go get it.
Absolutely. I just meant in instances like this where a doctor like foo-foos a supplement or a lifestyle recommendation or something. Like, I don't know. I used to get all up in arms about it, and I stopped caring about it, and then I was much happier.
I get you, man. You're absolutely right. When I went to get an exam to see if LASIK would work for me, the guy told me, no, it's not going to work for me. But I also at the time asked him, well, what can I do nutritionally for my eyes? Is there any supplements I could take or anything? He says, oh no, you get everything you need from food. You don't need any supplements. It's just funny how they think. Anyway, so we don't give a crap what they think, right, Michael? Any more questions as we wind it down here? Any more hands raised or anything, or?
No hands, but I did want to. Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
No hands raised. We've got about 6 minutes left. I did want to give Michael a chance here too to for sure talk about Rebel Health Tribe, his main focus right now, and then kind of conclude with anything else you might want to add. So, Michael, you want to talk about Rebel Health Tribe?
Sure. Thanks, and thanks, Reed, and thanks, Rika. And I appreciate being here on the show and getting a chance to share what we do with you guys. And I think a lot of FDNs are pretty familiar with us. If you're in the Facebook forum, and if you're not, you should be, because it's a really good place to be, and you'll learn a lot, and there's a lot of people to help you and networking and all that. So rebelhealthtribe.com is our site. We started the business a couple years ago around an online-based program that I had created that was basically dress program on steroids is what I joked with Reed that I would call it. Just, in-depth stuff that you find yourself teaching clients over and over and over. I wanted to figure out a way so that I didn't have to teach it to someone over and over and over. So I created an online-based program. With my teaching background, I can put together information pretty well. And so I created that, but I didn't know business skills or online marketing, or it didn't do well. I didn't know what I was doing with it. And then I met Joe in the forum, and Joe's a pretty savvy marketer and online business person, and we kind of just said, hey, I have this thing. I don't know what to do with it. You're pretty good at marketing things. Do you want to market this thing? And then we kicked off our company from that and launched our program called Primal 90 about a year and a half ago. And we do a lot of webinars and interviews and articles. We got a pretty active blog, and we've got the online-based educational programs and stuff, and we have a lot more things coming out. But next week is that's why Rika brought it up, next week is our webinar on CBD or cannabidiol CBD that we've been working on putting together. And we just go for whatever topics we find that we feel people need to know about or should know more about or ask us to share more about. We try to find the best people on that topic and bring them in and talk to them and provide the experts right to the audience. That's kind of what we do now. So hit us up, and we love to hear from people. We've got a Facebook group too, Rebel Health Tribe Facebook group and business page. Hit us up, and if there's anything you want to see us cover, anybody you want to see us talk to, any podcast guests you want to see or interview guests or subjects you want us to cover, whatever, just that's where we get our ideas from. So please feel free, and thanks for everything everybody's doing out there as FDNs in the work everybody does. And we hope that our site can be a resource that you guys can use to share with your clients and your audience and your people. Like I said, we're all on the same team, so feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to answer questions or talk to anybody or collaborate in some way if you'd like. That's all I got.
Fantastic, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing, and you're welcome to do it and encourage your associates to, we have a neat place to hang out together. We do need to hang out, man. We need to get another lunch down there at True Foods, and this time I'll sit on your lap.
All right, it's a deal.
I think that's good for now. Oh, wait, I was going to say one more thing. Brandon, anything else you got?
No, thanks, Michael, for being on and contributing to the community and the family like you do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for running the show here on the call.
Good job. Let me know when you want Uncle Reed back on your show.
We will, for sure. Story Time with Uncle Reed, Part 2.
All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Bye.